Two family. Welcome to another Two Family Homestead live stream. Woo!
Do I have to? It's my turn?
It's your turn.
But I go through this
It's
every
your
week,
turn.
right? Hey, folks. So, gosh, it looks like I don't have any here now. Anyway, we have a guest from Sean in Alaska's area. At least with our guest tonight, I don't think of a song, right, Sean? So anyway, I reached out to him, gosh, I think it was just 2 weeks ago, and said, hey, we do live on Monday night, gave him the whole spiel. We're filling up our 2021 calendar. And typical to a lot of the comments I get back, it's like, 2021? Well, and then we just happen to have an opening tonight. One guest had to back out due to family issues. So I reached out to him. I go, so we have an opening next Monday night. You interested in coming on? And we got him. I think it's great. I can't wait. Hey, Mo, how are you? So, please put your questions in all caps. I hope we get a full house tonight. If I don't see the question, one of our mods will slap me and say, Sherry, there's a question here.
Well,
So-
he is a prepper.
Yeah, see, obviously Alaska prepper. Yeah, that pretty much goes hand in hand, Daryl.
Well,
Gosh, sometimes he just amazes me.
I'm just saying that. Hey, this is a little bit different from.
Yes, it is different. It is. Different.
we've had some preppers on before,
Right, and well, in some respect, a homesteader is a prepper, not as defined as a prepper, I suppose.
Well, maybe more so.
Could be. Once you bring him
They're more incognito.
bring him out of the corner and let him
in.
let him in.
He's
Grandma
he's
Karen.
back here in the green room. So, Alaska prepper, say hello to everybody.
Hello, everyone. It's great to be here. Thank you very much for having me, and I'm expecting to have a really good time. So thank you very much again for having me, and thank you for those of you that are here that showed up. Truly appreciate you guys spending a little bit of time with us here today. Now, you were saying that homesteading is kind of like prepping, and what I like to say is that prepping is the gateway to homesteading.
Okay.
So,
There we go. That was close.
being prepared is a way of getting you from point A to point B, but the ultimate goal is to be not only prepared, but self-reliant. And that's what I see when I see homesteading, as someone that's self-reliant, that can rely on themselves to provide themselves with most of the things that they need with very little outside help. However, even if you are a homesteader, and most homesteaders are, they're also preppers, because they know that if they rely on their skills and their abilities and something happens where they cannot function those skills and or practice those abilities, that they'll have to rely on their preps in order to get them through until they can. So I hope that makes a little bit of sense.
So, would you share with the folks that are maybe not familiar with you about what your location is? And
I bet I know where he's at. Oh, sorry.
oh, she gets too excited.
That was an easy question.
So yeah, just kind of share where you're at. Have you been in Alaska your whole? Give us a little background on you.
Sure. Well, I retired from the Army, and before I came to Alaska, I was stationed in Fort Lewis, Washington. And while I was on my last deployment to Afghanistan, I got a call from what's called my branch manager, which is the military person that decides where you're going to next. Because as many of you probably know, when you're in the military, you move around from base to base, and you spend a couple of years or more in each base, and they move you around from base to base. So while I was in Afghanistan, I got an email from my branch manager. He asked me where I wanted to go, because when I got back from Afghanistan, that I was going to have to move to a different base. So I called my wife. We talked about it, and he offered us either Hawaii or Alaska. And I told my wife that she could decide, because she'd been following me around, all this time that I was in the military. So let her decide where she wanted to go. And she picked Alaska. Lucky me, or really lucky us, because we really enjoyed up here. About a year before I retired, we decided that we were going to stay here and make this our home. So we decided to buy a piece of land that was raw. As soon as we bought that piece of land, we started cutting trees down and clearing land, and we started building our house. Main reason is I told my wife that when we retire, I didn't want to have a mortgage, so we built our house out of pocket, and here we are. We live north of what is the city of Fairbanks, and one of the reasons why we decided to move north of the city of Fairbanks is because there is really nothing north of us. So thinking like a prepper, I asked myself, if some kind of a systemic crisis occurred where the people got desperate enough to do bad things, where would I want to live? Well, I would want to live somewhere where nobody really wants to go, because there's nothing there. So north of where I live, there is nothing. If something happened where people had to rely on government within the city of Fairbanks, more than likely they would be going to Fairbanks instead of coming north. So that's why I ended up living where I'm living here. It's a great place to live. I actually do have neighbors. They're not right next door, but they're a couple hundred meters away in each direction. And before I purchased the land, I also scouted out the neighbors and made sure that the people that I was going to be living amongst were good people. And that turned out to be true. So here I am. It's not the easiest of lives, but it is very gratifying. For example, the only utility we have is electricity, which is great, right? And everything else we have to bring in ourselves or pay someone to do so. For example, I have to haul my own water. When we built our house, we had to build a water system, and it consists of right now a 1,000-gallon water reservoir system, where we have to bring our water from the city, actually pump it in there, and that's how we have our water. Same thing with our fuel for our heat stove. We have to get our own fuel. And some people may not like that kind of lifestyle, but I feel that there are more advantages to it than disadvantages. And those minor inconveniences, like having to haul your own water and having to get your own fuel and things like that, you get used to those things, and they just become part of life, and you still get to enjoy the things that you chose this type of lifestyle for. So,
Yep.
Hauling water nowadays is nothing. It's not even a chore to me. It's actually enjoyable, because I get to get in my truck, go into town, do some of my weekend chores and get water at the same time. So, yeah, it's not really that big of a bother at all. And like I said, there's a lot more a lot more pros than cons to the lifestyle that we have up here.
So the fuel that you mentioned, is that like what many people on here would maybe refer to as heating oil, or is it propane?
No, it's both. I have a heating oil heater that heats my whole house. They're called Toyo stoves, and they're very popular here in Alaska because they're extremely efficient. So that uses heating fuel, and my heating stove is what heats my entire house. However, it runs on electricity, meaning that it needs electricity in order to run the fuel pump and the fan and those types of things. In addition to that, my main heating source, I also had a non-electric vented propane heater that can heat my entire house as well. That way, if we lose electricity for a very long amount of time, I know that I have enough propane that I can heat my house for an entire winter without the need of any electricity.
Wow.
So I have that as a backup to my main heater.
So, when when you say the fuel oil, that's it's like a refined kerosene type diesel fuel.
No, it's like a refined diesel fuel. It's
Yep.
called number one heating oil. And what it is like a refined, clean diesel fuel that does not gel up in negative temperatures. I believe it can go up to like negative 60 before it starts to gel up. So it's the preferred heating fuel for people that own, Toyo stoves like I do.
Okay.
We have a question here, micro farmer, and micro farmer is up in Connecticut. How's the insect there in the summertime?
Well, the mosquitoes are, in my opinion, they're not that bad. If you were to ask my wife or my daughter, it's terrible. This year was a bit of a cooler year, so the mosquitoes weren't that bad at all. However, you learn to adapt to these things, and there are so many products out there that are so simple to use and effective that once you find something that works for you, you tend to hold on to it. For example, I have what is called a thermocell. And a thermocell is just an attachment that you use on a small butane bottle that has a insect repellent pad on it that keeps mosquitoes away up to I believe it's like a 15-foot radius.
Wow.
And that works great. And they even sell thermocells that you can clip on your belt loop that you can walk around with that keep the mosquitoes away. So it's just a matter of, adjusting to where you're at, doing the things that you need to do in order to make it through whatever inconvenience you may come across.
That's true.
Okay. Well, you indicated that where you live, you have to get your water from town and it's trucked out and pumped in a holding tank and so forth. How far away is town?
Oh, it's not too far. It's about a 25-minute ride or so.
Okay. Well,
And and I usually don't just go to town to get water. If I have something else to do, I'll go and I'll get water at the same time. So yeah, it's not that far away from town where we live.
So what? You have a trailer that has a tank on it that you pull? Is that how that works?
Well, what I have now is I have a pickup that has a 200-gallon tank on the bed.
Okay.
And I actually have a video where I show how I do this, the process that I go through, just to show people that have never seen it, how it is that we actually transport water to where we live. So it's got a 200-gallon tank on the bed, and I just go to I like to call it the water shack, which is just a communal water source that's actually privately owned, that has a big old pump that pumps water out at high pressure. So I get to fill up my 200-gallon tank in about a minute and a half or so.
Wow.
Well, I will have to admit that I tried to do some catching up on some of your videos today, and I got so depressed when I saw your snowfall that I had to stop.
Well, and we have two questions here. For Trip H Farm is asking, what's the fuel run per gallon where you are?
Right now, it's actually, if you haul it yourself, it's actually pretty inexpensive. It's only about $1.75, I believe. However, you can have it delivered to your site where they actually pump it into your holding tank, and that usually runs about $1 more per gallon.
Yeah. And Homestead Paradise, do you sometimes get snow to the rooftops?
No. Thankfully, no.
But
please don't mention that again.
But the rooftops are 30 foot high.
Yeah.
No, the most snow that we've had here since I've been here was about 9 feet in one winter. Was about 9 feet of snow in one winter, and the reason I remember that so well is because if you remember, I built my house, and that was the ultimate test to my roof. Was that I know that it can hold 9 foot of snow because we never took any snow off the roof that year. So yeah, 9 feet is what we've had most of in 1 year.
Wow, that's just crazy. So, when you get that much snow in an area there, that seems like that's just too much snow. They can't push it off the roads. So I know they have big snow blowers and stuff, but do they just also maybe just kind of let it pack and the road kind of raises and you're driving on snow for a while? Is that how that works, or?
Well, they do a very good job as far as in town. So the main roads that are traveled in Fairbanks, the city does a very good job at keeping the roads very well kept during the winter. However, where I live, since it's considered a rural area, no one services our main road here. So we have to do that ourselves. So what we do in the winter is, between myself and my immediate neighbors, we pitch in and hire someone that removes snow, as far as like for a job. So we hire someone that can come in and plow our road on a regular basis. And we usually take care of our own driveways, either with a snowblower or, in my case, this year when my snowblower went kaput, with a shovel.
Jeez. Now, when you go get water, do you have to pay for that?
Yes, absolutely. We pay. Let's see. I just got water today, so I got 200 gallons of water for $6.
That's not bad.
Now, do you have a regular septic system?
Yes, we do. We have a regular septic system. Actually, those of you that are here that are from the Alaska Prepper community as well, know that I like to tell stories. So when I first built when we first built our home, we were doing it out of pocket. So we didn't have a lot of money. So about a month before we were moving in, I knew that I didn't have the $9,000 or $10,000 that we needed in order to have a professionally installed system. So what I did was I made my own septic system from scrap totes that I purchased for like $50 a piece. And what I did was I took two 270-gallon totes, plastic totes. I put them together and I made my own septic system out of it. I made my own leach field and everything. And the total price that cost was about $300. So we had a septic system and it worked for $300.
Oh, that's pretty
but
good.
about 3 years later, it failed.
Uh-oh.
But Lord willing, the Lord provides. When you need it most. Thank goodness that when it finally failed, I was able to afford to actually pay for someone to professionally install one. So now we have one that we are very confident will last for probably the rest of our lives.
Wow. And I just want to make sure everybody's aware here. They should be because they can see it on the screen. But we have opened up the telephone lines. If anybody wants to call in and say hello to Alaska Prepper, ask any kind of questions or anything, or maybe kind of goad him into telling us one of his stories.
I'm going to take off my shirt real quick because I'm getting kind of hot.
Question here is, what's your best method to scare off bears?
Believe it or not, we have not seen one bear since we've been here, living here. We haven't seen a bear. We see a lot of moose, and moose you have to be very careful with, especially if they have youngins with them. But we see a lot of moose here, especially during the springtime. I've seen plenty of foxes, and I remember seeing one wolf, a lone wolf once, which is very rare for you to see a lone wolf. But as far as wild animals, that's pretty much what I've seen since I've been here. Are moose, a wolf, some foxes, and some caribou as well.
Go ahead.
Oh, I'm sorry. I thought you were.
No. What are resources you use to learn your skills?
What? Say that again. I didn't hear the first part.
What resources did you use to learn your skills?
Well, I mean, trial and error. Trial and error. The lengthier that I've been a prepper, the more that I've been a prepper, the more that I've learned to research before I do something.
Yep.
But in the beginning, when I first started preparing and kind of like embracing this as a lifestyle, a lot of it was trial and error. But now, when I find out something that I want to do, I do tend to just get online. I think that one of the best resources to learn almost anything is YouTube. Believe it or not, when I started building my house, I had never built anything in my life. I'd never even built a shed. So what did I do? I got on YouTube. How do you build a foundation? How deep does it have to go in Alaska? I got on YouTube to learn how to frame a floor. I didn't even know how to find square when I first started building my house.
Oh, you did pretty
I
good.
literally built my house using YouTube and a couple of books that I bought at Home Depot.
There you go.
Here's a question. Have you ever taken part of the roadkill list? Is there a roadkill list there?
There is a roadkill list, and for those of you that don't know what that is, it's a list that here you do it with the state police. The state police, and I believe also the Fairbanks police, they share the same list. And what that is people put their names on there in case someone hits like a moose or not really a caribou around here. Here, mostly, if you're going to hit something, is a moose. So if someone hits a moose and the moose passes on the highway or on the road or something, you're supposed to call the police. They come over, they give you a police report, and then they call whoever's next on that list. And then I believe they have like an hour to get there, and then they are able to process the meat and take the meat with them. And they have to also clean up the area where the accident happened before they leave. So I'm not part of that list. But it does exist here.
Does the poor person that hit the moose, do they get first dibs on it?
No, they don't. You have to be on the list.
I'll be darned.
Yeah, I mean, we used to what was that one show we used to watch? And I don't know, wardens or whatever they're called were called out to take care of it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, that's pretty incredible. Now, can you get on the list to maybe get the vehicles that are killed?
Oh, I don't know.
You had to think about that for a minute. Okay. Just going back through here. I wonder if Louisiana does that with deer. Broussard, they may. I don't know. I don't know if that's Brett or...
Yeah, it's Brett.
Brett?
Because Amy's on here with her ID.
Okay, so I don't know if that's it or if Louisiana does that or not.
Well, I don't. They don't have that around here, but I know you could. Can't you call is it the state police or whatever? If there's one, if you hit one.
Yeah, you can
call them that way.
You're
allowed to.
Yeah, you can get on a list with the highway patrol.
Yeah, so you can take it home if
here
you
in
want.
Ohio.
Yeah.
Now, of course, down in Louisiana, their deer's about the size of Smudge. So let's. I'm curious.
Angela has a question for him. Practical Modern Homestead there.
Oh, do you feel that being in the military helped prepare you for this lifestyle?
Yeah, in a way, yes. All right, I had to think about that for a second there. In a way, yes, because in the military, you have to be very versatile. You have to be able to adapt quickly. And that is definitely a plus living here, is that if you can adapt quickly to any situation, then you can mitigate anything that can go wrong better than not. So, yeah, absolutely, yeah.
I know when we talked earlier today, you mentioned that, when you retired, all of a sudden you found out that you didn't have any time. So
yeah, which that's a good thing, though. I think that's a good thing. One of the things that I always hear is that when you retire, if you stop, being active and doing things, that, you expire a lot quicker than if not. So I'm very happy that I'm busy, but I'm even happier that I'm free to do what I want to do when I want to do. One of my pet peeves about working in the rat race, being in the rat race, is that lunch is at 12 o'clock every day. That if you want to take some time off, you have to ask the boss.
Yep.
Now I can go to sleep whenever I want to go to sleep. I wake up when I want to wake up, and I can eat whenever I want to eat, and I don't have to ask anyone permission. Yep. Except for my wife, that is.
Sean in Alaska here is asking, how long have you been in Alaska, and what was your biggest challenge?
Well, we've been here for a little over 6 years now. And I can't say that as far as my biggest challenge was building our house, because it was, for someone who's never built a home before, for me it was a monumental tasking, because we were doing it on a time crunch. we had a date that we had to be in this house or we would not have anywhere to live. So the day that we actually moved to this house was the day that I actually finished putting together our waste disposal system for our,
Wow.
our toilet and our plumbing and stuff like that.
Wow.
Was that same day. So we like moved in, and when we moved in, the only thing that was done in the house was the inside. The inside's about 95% done, which is good, but the outside still didn't have any siding or anything like that. I like to say that whenever you're building your own house and you're living on it or living in it at the same time, you're never done building it.
Now that's probably
That
very
every
true.
year is something new, right?
What would be your most important prep item?
That's an easy answer. Your skills. That's the only thing that cannot be taken away from you. If you find yourself without food, but you know how to get food, that's a great skill to know. In different ways. If you find yourself without water, but you know how to find water and purify that water, that's a great skill to have. So, and I know that a lot of people probably say that, but it's because it's true. If you have skills and you work on those skills and build what I like to call muscle memory, which means that during times of stress, you don't have to rely on your memory because you already know how to do it and instinct just takes over. To me, I think that's the most important thing you can do to be prepared. Now, I'm not sure if that person was asking the question from a different point of view, like what's my most important prep as like a physical item, or because there are so many facets to prepping and so many layers of prepping that in a way can be kind of a tough question to answer. Because,
true.
For example, I can have all the water in the world, but if I don't have any food, then eventually, time's going to run out, right?
Yep.
So,
Yep.
there's a lot of layers to prepping in which you need some of everything in order to be able to be what is called well prepared.
Wide Family Farm is asking, what is the highest temperature there on a good day?
The highest temperature that I've experienced in Alaska was when I first got here about 6 years ago, and it was about 95 degrees.
Whoa.
And that was for about 2 or 3 days. I think that the highest temperature that we experienced this year during the summer was somewhere in the low 80s, maybe mid 80s.
Wow.
And that didn't last that long either. During the winter time, I consider this where we're at now, the time that we're at now, even though it's not technically winter, it's not December 21st. I consider this winter time because right now it's about negative 10 degrees outside.
Whoa.
But your normal winter day or your winter temperatures, they probably average around negative 15 to negative 20, your normal, winter low temperatures. And your high temps, depending on what time of the year it is, like right now, the highs were probably in like the single digits, 4 or 5 degrees above zero. But the coldest temperatures that you're going to experience here usually occur around January. The month of January is historically the coldest month of the year. And during that month, you can experience temperatures all the way as low as negative 60. However, I got very lucky because where we live is usually about 10 degrees warmer than the city of Fairbanks. So whenever you see that the temperature for Fairbanks is negative 50, where we're at is negative 40. And believe it or not, that 10 degrees makes a huge difference.
Can't even imagine that number. Wide Family Farm, is it true you get paid to live there?
No, you do not get paid to live here. A lot of people think that. The person who asked that question is probably thinking about the PFD, the PDF, the Alaska Permanent Dividend Funds, I believe it's called. I always mix it up with PDF or PFD, but it's the Alaska Permanent Dividend Funds is what it's called. And what that is I did a video on this a while back, but I kind of forgot the dates. I think it was back in I don't know if it was the early 80s or the late 70s, but they enacted a law that stated that any natural resources that were taken from Alaska and sold, exported, that a portion of those profits would go to the permanent dividend fund. And then the permanent dividend fund, whatever interest that fund yielded, would be divided amongst the citizens of Alaska every year. So normally around October, the permanent dividend fund sends out a payment to every eligible Alaskan for an equal amount of that dividend divided amongst all of the Alaskans that qualify for it. And it can go anywhere from, the smallest amount I've seen since I've been here was like $600 for a whole year. And it's a one-time payment. It's not like it's every month. It's once a year. It's $600. And the most I've ever seen it, I believe, was $1,900. I think it was $1,900 or $1,600. Now, a lot of people think that this is like an entitlement or something like that, but it's more in terms of a benefit, meaning that those monies are not taxed to the general public and then given out. Those monies are earned via a dividend on interest that was earned from the profits of the natural resources that are extracted from Alaska. I hope that makes sense.
I think you explained it very well.
Yeah, very much so.
Yeah, without question. So what got you into YouTube?
Oh, wow. I got bored one day. So I was talking to you about the picture that you have in the thumbnail, and that picture was from my very first video that I did. I believe it was November 9th, I think, of 2017. So I've been doing YouTube for just a tidbit over 3 years now. And I've been prepping for a long time. I want to say I started prepping around 2009, 2010, maybe, something like that. And I was on a walk one day down that road that you have on your thumbnail, and I was walking one of our dogs, Bella, who has since passed. But I was walking her, and I told myself, you know what? I need to do something with my winters, because winters here, you know, there's really not that much to do unless you're into the hunting and trapping and stuff like that, of which I'm not. I'm not opposed to it, and it's a skill that I definitely need to learn. And now that I'm not in the rat race anymore, I'm probably going to start doing more of that and learning how to do that. But I was out on a walk, and I was like, you know what? I really like to do prepping. I'm going to go ahead and start a prepping channel, just like that. I took out my phone from my pocket. I recorded probably one of the worst videos in history, and I put it up, and here we are.
Well, I don't know about the worst video in history. I think we're laying claim to that, maybe. But so anyway, prepping. You've been prepping for a long time. You've considered yourself a prepper for some time. Is that something that you feel the Army instilled in you?
No, absolutely not. I mean, what instilled it in me is that I finally woke up. You know, I woke up to the way of the world, I guess you can say. On my way back from a mid-deployment tour for R&R, I read a book that one of my buddies gave me. And the name of the book was Confessions of an Economic Hitman. And it's authored by John Perkins. It has nothing to do with prepping. But that book woke me up to how the government works. And that book, after reading that book, I was kind of like in shock. You know, I was like, are you kidding me? Is this really what goes on? And that book led me to want to read other books that were nonfiction books about how the government works. So I started reading The Creature from Jekyll Island, who's authored by G. Edward Griffith. And that book tells you how the financial system of the United States works. And again, I was in shock. So those experiences led me to dig a little deeper. And eventually I was like, you know what? If something happens where our food system or our monetary system or whatever system there is that we rely on an everyday basis, the government is not going to be there to take care of us. Why? Because it can't. The government may be able to take care of a localized event like a hurricane, you know, or a forest fire or something like that. They may be able to get their little FEMA trucks out there with Oreo cookies and milk to pacify the citizens. But if something like that were to happen at a systemic level, meaning regional and or nationwide, there's no way that the government would be able to take care of everyone. So I decided that for the better of my family, that I was going to start doing what is called prepping, which is the exact same thing that our forefathers did 100, 120 years ago and before. It just wasn't called prepping. You know, they believed and they knew, not that they believed, they knew that they had to have a supply of sustenance and a supply of things that they used on an everyday basis to last them an extended period of time, just in case they had a bad winter or in case they had a bad harvest. So back then, prepping wasn't a word, it was just a lifestyle. Over the last century or so, we've been pretty much spoiled with technology, and now everything appears at the grocery store.
Yeah.
And most people don't even know where these things come from.
You get them from the grocery store.
Yeah, I was talking to a friend not too long ago, and he doesn't even know what a wheat berry is. So I explained to him, a wheat berry is what flour comes from. They take them and they grind them, and then the flour gets bleached or not, and then that's how they make bread. But most people don't even know what a wheat berry is, which convinces me that most people don't even know where the food that they buy at the supermarket comes from.
Well,
so I decided that if these systems were to go down, I wanted to make sure that I could take care of my family.
Exactly.
You know, I consider prepping a way of you being able to sustain your sovereignty, you being able to keep control of your life during a time where you cannot control what's going on around you. So the better prepared that you are, the less control that you will have to give to someone else because they are holding their hand out with a piece of bread and your children are hungry.
How long of a growing season do you have in your area?
Not very long. If you have a greenhouse, of course, just like anywhere else, it's going to be longer. But I like to say that our growing season is enough to get one really good harvest.
The Wide Family Farm is
I would say about 90 days or so. About a good 90 days, you'll be able to grow what you need to grow.
Wide Family Farm is wondering if you consider yourself to be a conspiracy theory person.
Well, when you think about it, everyone is. Everyone is a conspiracy theorist, right? Unless you believe everything that everyone says that you hear, right? However, I don't consider myself to be a conspiracy theorist type of a person. Why is that? Because I like to research. When I hear something that I don't agree with or that sounds kind of fishy, I look into it until I am satisfied with the answer that I found. You know, someone told me once that you have to live your own truth. And that's very true. You know, you have to convince yourself that what you're looking at is what you are looking at. However, if you don't, all you're going to be doing is following whoever's telling you what you should be thinking. So I like to do a lot of research. Anyone that watches my videos, they hear me say it 1,000 times. Ladies and gentlemen, don't believe what I'm saying. Do your research. This is what I do. Only because I do this doesn't mean it's going to work for you. So you have to do your own research.
City Girl Country Heart is wondering how much land you have.
Oh, I don't have a lot of land. I only have a couple of acres. However, I feel that that is plenty. You know, a couple of acres of raw land is really a very good amount of land, and you can do a lot with it. I would like to get more land, and in the future, it looks like we probably will get more land north of the borough in which we live. One of the very nice things here is that if you purchase land north or outside of the borough that Fairbanks resides in, you don't pay any property taxes. So we're looking to probably get some land north of where we are, maybe 50, 60 miles north of where we are, to have a nice big piece of land where we don't have to worry about taxes. And it's considerably cheaper than it is down here. And for good reason, because there's absolutely no services up there. If you decide to move up there, it's 100% off grid. You have nothing up there as far as utilities go.
Do you have any type of solar system where you're at?
I love solar generators. You can ask anyone on my channel. I love solar generators, mainly because I'm not a very tech savvy kind of a guy. and solar generators are like a one and all unit that allows you to have solar power, and it's easy to use. You don't have to be very tech savvy at all in order to use them. So I do. I have about a dozen or so solar panels. I have a lot of solar generators, which I really like. You know, I prefer the solar generators over an actual solar system that includes, you know, like the batteries, the inverter, the charge controller, and all those things. I prefer the solar generators that you can buy in a box and then just hook up solar panels to them because they're so easy to move around. You can put them wherever you need them. You know, I have different types, and I probably have enough, storage capacity to run my entire house for probably about a whole week when it comes to solar generators.
Wow.
So, yeah, I keep collecting them. Whenever I see a cool one, I'm like, man, I have to review that. I just reviewed a Duracell solar generator that I never even seen before. I never knew they existed until I saw it at Costco. And I was like, I told my wife, I have to buy this because I have to review this. So that was like that's like my fifth solar generator. And I'm actually reviewing another one here in a couple of days.
I don't know if you're watching the chat here at all, but Christy Betts is apparently somebody that you might be familiar with. She's mentioned your name here a couple times.
Hello, Christy. Well, hello, everyone that's here from the Alaska Prepper community. If you're here, thank you very much for joining in. I hope you're having as good of a time as I am.
So I'm seeing here doing redneck things with Tony. Isn't Alaska one of the states you can acquire land by filing a claim and paying a filing fee?
I believe they did away with that. I think it was in the 80s. I think they did away with that sometime in the 80s. I really don't know, but not now. However, you can get land up here extremely cheap. Let me see if I can give you an example. So if I buy land from the state has a system. The Department of Natural Resources here has a system that's called over-the-counter land sales. And you go onto their site, and you can pick a piece of land that they have for sale and pretty much buy it for a very inexpensive price, depending on the location. So, for example, if I were to buy about 40 acres, 50 or 60 miles north of where I live now, I could probably pick up those 40 acres for about $15,000, which is pretty reasonable price.
So what about livestock? Do you have any livestock, or do your neighbors have any livestock?
He doesn't.
One of my neighbors does. I have been working on my land, getting it ready to turn it into a small homestead. And Lord willing, next year I'll have chickens, and I can't wait. But I plan on having chickens. I plan on having a couple of goats and probably raising a few pigs every other year or so, enough to fill our freezer for a year and a half or two.
So with the extreme temperatures that you have there, do you know, is there special considerations that you have to have for the animals you just mentioned?
Yeah, definitely. Like for the chickens, for my chickens, they're going to be chickens egg-laying chickens. So what I will do with those is I will build a structure that will accept the maximum amount of insulation that I can possibly put in it. So just for example, instead of building a chicken coop with 2x4s, I'll probably end up building it with 2x6s and filling in the cavities with foam insulation instead of fiberglass insulation. And doing that and making sure that it is very well sealed and just putting a small heater in there in the winter, they should fare pretty well. Believe it or not, chickens out here, they'll go outside in negative temperatures. It's just that they have to have that warm place to go into to roost, so that they don't succumb to the cold temperatures. But they'll still go outside. But yeah, all you have to do is, for example, if you're in a hot area, what do? You take off layers, right? If you're in a cold area, you put on layers. Same thing when you're building here. When you're building something here, like for example, my house, I told you that I heat my house with a Toyo stove, which is not a very big stove. It's only like 35,000 BTU, I believe. It heats my entire house, and my house has 2 wings to it and a second floor. So that thing heats my entire house because when I was building my house, I had the forethought of spending a lot of money on the things you don't see, like insulation. It really hurts when you're building the house and you have to spend so much money on something you're never going to see. But in the long run, it really does pay off.
Well, let me just remind everybody we do have the phone lines open. Feel free to call in, and we'll get you on the show here live.
Well, and Allie Oakley is asking, where's Victor?
Victor's work. Oh, no, Victor is not working. He actually went to help a friend with something. So Victor actually went to help a friend with something today. Or I might have that wrong. Maybe that was yesterday. He might be working. He might be working tonight. I think he's off on Wednesday. He likes to be off on Wednesdays because that's when I do my live stream for my channel.
Mm-hmm.
So he loves to interrupt.
Trip H Farm, how deep would you have to dig to set up geothermal system for your coop?
Oh, I would never do that here. I won't even have a well here because here the water line you're looking at about 350 feet, and the water that comes out of the ground out here is it has an awful lot of sulfur. Even after you put it through a filter system, you can still smell sulfur in it. So I won't put up a well here. I think what would work better for us here is having a water collection system, which is one of the things that I plan on working on, next year, hopefully. This last year, I actually purchased a 2,500 gallon water tank so that I can have it winterized next year and add it to my existing water system.
Okay, City Girl Country Heart is asking, what are the pros and cons of living in Alaska from your perspective?
From my perspective, the cons is just the winters. But you get used to it, right? You really get used to it. Believe it or not, we rather have really cold winters than warm winters. For about the last 2 weeks, we had weather in the mid-20s, and we hated it. We hate it when it's in the mid-20s and snow has already fallen because it just makes everything pretty dangerous. We prefer it to be in the negatives or the single digits, whenever there's snow, whenever it's already snowed. So, I think that's one of the things that people don't like about living here, that move here and leave, is that the winters can be pretty harsh. But you get used to it. The winters here, when it's negative 30, negative 40 degrees outside, it's a very dry cold. So it's not the type of cold that, that touches your bones. And you just get used to it. I would say that that's really the only con. I'm very lucky. I really enjoy living here. I mean, I'm very happy that we ended up here because we have a very good life here. The people in Alaska are awesome. I love the people of Alaska, and I really enjoy living here. So I really don't see too many cons about it. If I had to pick one thing, right, is that if you do live in an area where you have to pay property taxes, since I've been here, the property taxes have gone up about 25%. And you know that they never go down. They usually go up and keep going up. Yeah. So that's one thing that I would say is a con. However, when you compare our property taxes to many other areas, we don't pay that much.
Okay. And Trip H was the one that asked about the geothermal. And, of course, he was talking about, a pipe in the ground to get heat out of the ground. And somebody else was saying that they're thinking it's got to be more than your ice level is down some 5 foot maybe or something.
That's Sean in Alaska said that. He would know. He's in Alaska.
Where we're at here, it depends what kind of ground you have. It depends what kind of ground you have because, there's permafrost in a lot of areas in Alaska. I got extremely lucky when I purchased this land. I didn't even know what permafrost was. So I didn't even know to check for it. So it just happens that the land that I purchased is one of the few lots that has about 14 feet of topsoil before it hits bedrock.
Wow.
And there's a couple of small areas on my property that has permafrost, but the main portion of my property, especially where my house is permafrost free. And I found that out as a fact when they redid my septic system because they went down 14 feet and it was all topsoil and clay. before they actually hit bedrock, which is awesome. I was very happy to see that. You know, so it really depends where you're at as far as how far down the frost line is. Because if you're on wet ground, your frost line is going to go down deeper than if you're on dry ground. So my frost line where I'm at is only about 3 feet, 3.5 feet deep.
Okay.
How do you deal with the long, dark, cold winters?
You just find stuff to do. You take extra vitamin D. They actually sell what are called happy lights here, which are window simulations. They simulate a window and a sunny day. And they're called happy lights.
I'll be darned.
You take extra vitamin D and then you just plan out your winter. What are you going to do? You know, like, for example, I really enjoy going to the range. And I just found out that there is a static range here, which means that it's a range where you move and shoot instead of just standing still and shooting. And that's probably one of the things that I will be doing this winter on a weekly or bi-weekly basis. And, you know, and you just find things that you like to do. For example, I'm going to enter a course where they teach you how to rebuild your own heater, which happens to be the heater that I use. So you actually go in there, they teach you how to rebuild it and fix it. That way, if something ever happens to mine, I don't have to pay the outlandish fees that they charge here for maintaining those heaters. So it just, you know, you find things that interest you. The things that there are to do up here is pretty much the same thing that you can do anywhere else. You know, just add winter to it, you know.
A very cold winter.
Well,
Yes.
I'm also going to make an assumption that you probably have some sort of snowmobiles or something like that allows you to be able to get around regardless of the weather.
Oh, actually, I don't even have a snowmobile yet. You know, since I retired from the military, from the Army, all we've been doing is just working on our house. We are at a point now that we're lucky enough to where we're about 99% done. I'll say 98% done. So, you know, I'm starting to enter a part of my life where I'm able to do some of those things that I want to do. So we're actually in the market, probably next year in the market, to buy a four-wheeler and a snowmobile and, you know, things that I consider that are fun. However, we really don't need those things to move around in the winter here. Like I said, the city does such a good job at keeping our roads clear that there haven't been very many times where we could not go somewhere because of the roads. And in addition to that, we have a couple of 4x4 vehicles that can pretty much go through any height snow that falls.
Okay, now I hope I'm not showing too much of my ignorance here, but the question has been asked, would you say the Alaskan bush people are fake Alaskans?
Oh, I don't know. I heard that they were, but I think that they started out living in the part of Alaska that's closer to Washington State. I forget the name of that part of Alaska where it doesn't really snow that much. But I really don't know. I heard somewhere, I don't really watch TV, right? We don't have cable here. YouTube is my entertainment, you know, and it's my hobby, really. It's more my hobby, really, than my entertainment. But I heard somewhere that they were, but I really don't know. I've never met them, so I couldn't tell you from a personal perspective. But I heard somewhere that they maybe were paid for doing that show, but I don't know. I have no idea.
Okay, and I had no idea about any of it. I just repeated the question here. That's why I say I hope my ignorance wasn't too much there.
I think that the Alaskan bush people, I think it's the one where it's the father and mother that have a lot of kids that live out in the bush, and the father's got a real long, you know, beard and mustache. I think that's who they are, and if that's who they are, then yeah, I really don't know.
Okay, and again, folks, I guess I'm just amazed that we haven't gotten anybody to call in here. And
Well, Darren can't call. He says they're expecting him to work.
Oh,
That's why he has
we
called.
have we have some folks viewing all the way from Australia. They're in here tonight.
Well,
And he would be calling in, but apparently they're expecting him to work. I guess that's one of those things you do when you have a job.
So they say.
Okay. Colorado pepper pack rat. So that must be one of your regulars.
Yes.
Yeah,
They are.
or our preparedness.
Yeah.
If I get my phone, I'd call. Okay. So, just making sure we didn't miss any other questions here.
Got them all so far.
Well, we have Lisa Schroeder from Ontario, Canada. And, of course, Jan Penland, you mentioned that. I don't know where she's at. But she is still rooting you on. Down Under Farm and Forge, that's our friend from Australia. Homestead Paradise.
Allie, if you have a cell phone, you push the buttons. She asked how I call. So I had to give Allie a smart arse answer.
Deb Rich, Enrich Refuge. Okay. So I'm a little curious. What is your impression? And I know that I'm treading into some areas here we have to be cautious. But how has 2020 been for you this year as compared to your previous 5 years?
Kind of funny, not too much difference, really. I mean, I'm assuming that you're talking about this health crisis that's going on here and everywhere else, you know?
Yep.
And I've accustomed myself to calling it a health crisis for obvious reasons, right?
There you go. I like that. Yeah.
I was actually talking to someone about that the other day, and we have had, you know, similar things happen here as far as businesses having to either shut down completely or partially. Thankfully, though, I remember telling my wife during the beginning of this, I said that I think that Fairbanks in particular is very resilient and that I don't think we will lose very many businesses, and we have not. I think we've only heard about maybe 2 businesses that have shut down permanently. So most of our businesses that were here before this started are still here today, and I attribute that to our community. I attribute that to the people that live here because we really like to support the businesses that take care of us here. So, yeah, we're doing very well as far as that. I think I heard an order here a couple of days ago. Well, not really an order, more of a strong suggestion that we start doing things again like we were a few months back. And I really haven't seen much difference as far as my lifestyle goes because, as I like to say, and it's true, I am a very boring person. So there's not much out there. You know, there's not much out there that I would realize went wrong because I don't really like to go anywhere. Just a second, my computer went off. Let me see. Okay. So no, I mean, everything here is pretty much, you know, the same that it was before. I'm very grateful, like I said before, that our businesses are doing, you know, I think better than most in the lower 48. And, you know, there's not a lot of crazy restrictions up here. You know, some privately owned businesses require you to wear a face covering when you go into their business. And, you know, don't anybody get angry at me for saying this. Let me finish my sentence first. I support that. Because if you purchase a business and it's your privately owned business and you want to have a rule that says when you come in, you have to wear this, well, it's my decision on whether I want to patronage that business or not.
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
So, for example, if I want to go into Costco's to get my 50-pound bag of rice, I'm going to have to put on a face covering. And if I don't want to, I don't have to patronage Costco. You know, I can go somewhere else and get my rice for twice the price.
That's true.
But what I'm really happy to say is that most places don't require it. Most of the mom and pop shops around here, most of the small businesses that are like Alaskan owned, that are owned by people that actually live here in Alaska, and they're not big box stores or big supermarkets, they don't have those restrictions in place. Some of those businesses have decided to have their employees, you know, have to wear a face covering, but not their patrons. So, yeah, I mean, I have to say that I haven't really suffered much from what's going on at all. I definitely wasn't fighting over toilet paper back in March. I was just sitting home watching it on the TV or on the computer.
Well, if you would have had enough stocked up, you could have made an extra few $1,000s this year.
Good Lord.
No, I wouldn't do that. Well, trust me, I do have enough stocked up, but I wouldn't do that. I'd give it away before I. So
That and canning jars and lids. Gosh. Yep.
man, don't watch my video where I showed you my supply of canning jars, because I've been stocking those up way before this stuff started. And then when the shortages came, I didn't even know that there were shortages until I seen some videos, and I was like, wow, I got 25 cases of jars out there.
Yeah. I have a stock also that has, the cases have not even been opened, and we went to
Nothing wrong with it.
yeah,
Nothing wrong with that. We
Yeah.
purchased those way before none of this stuff started.
yeah,
Why did we do it? Because we were preparing for a day where maybe they were not available, and guess what? That day came, and we still have the stock that we purchased. Nothing wrong with that at all.
We went to a picnic in Kentucky in September, and I took some of the jars that are used that were sitting in our pantry, our walk-in pantry, ran them through the dishwasher, and I told people, I said, if anybody's interested, I'll bring some of the used ones. They're clean, there's no chips, and I'll sell them. Within 15 minutes, they were gone. I mean,
I believe it.
we opened the back of the truck, and it was like, you would think you were a drug dealer. Whoosh! All these people were there, and they were gone.
Rudy, we do have a caller at last, so let's let him in the room here.
Is it Allie?
This is Daryl. Who's calling, please?
City Girl Country Heart.
Oh, it is. It's Terry.
Terry, how you doing?
Hello.
Good. Hello. I'm chilly, but not as cold as him during the winter. Lordy.
Yeah, you'd freeze, Terry.
My fluff wouldn't be there.
Yeah, and you're
It'd
from.
be gone.
Mm-hmm. You don't have fluff. Give me a break.
Yeah, I do. And I'm from up north. I'm from New Jersey.
Yeah, that's
And
right.
down here, it's what?
Uh-huh.
Our lowest this week is supposed to be 31 Wednesday night. I won't be sleeping Wednesday night or the next few nights because it's going to be in the 30s at night.
Oh,
Wow.
it's
30s
37
is
here.
like spring here.
Yeah, it's 37 here.
We're in the low 40s right now, and I'm turning on my dryer to start warming up my house. This house, it has no heat. So I have to either use space heaters, and if I don't have them right now, because I got to wait till next month, I use my dryer. I do my laundry at night when I'm staying up overnight, and I boil water. My daughter's got a space heater in her room, but the rest of the house don't. But my question for him is, where you are up there in Alaska, where do you see yourself as far as progressing in the next 3 to 5 years?
Where do I see myself as far as prepping in the next 3 to 5 years? Is that the question?
Building your homestead, building your land and having animals. Where do you see yourself in that 3 to 5 year period?
Okay, great question. Thank you. So in the next 3 to 5 years, I see that I will have a working homestead that would suffice our needs. Because,
You're welcome.
Oh, sorry. Darn Alexa. Alexa's over here thinking I'm talking to her.
She answered for me.
That's too funny.
Hear her? She said, "You're welcome," when I said thank you. That is, I was going to say that's hilarious, but in a way it's tragic.
Yeah.
So I was saying before Alexa interrupted, in the next 3 to 5 years, I really hope to be able to have a garden that's big enough to provide my family with at least 50% of the food that we eat. I would love to say like 90%, but that's probably being a little too optimistic. I think shooting for about 50%. For example, this year I grew a very small experimental garden because I've never really grown a garden before. And my main thing was potatoes. And I think it was great. I started out with about 6 seed potatoes. and I ended up growing about 12 pounds or so of potatoes out of 6 seed potatoes. To me, that was great. Next year, now that I
That's pretty
know
good.
what I need to do in order to grow potatoes, next year I'm going to try and multiply that times 10, where I can end up with maybe 120 pounds of potatoes, because I know that my family goes through about 10 pounds of potatoes a month. So I'm going to try to make it to where I can grow about 120 pounds of potatoes, maybe an extra 10 pounds so I can have more seed potato for the next season. But yeah, like in 3 to 5 years, I plan on having a garden that will provide us with about 50% of our sustenance, in addition to, of course, having your easy to care for animals like chickens. I'm thinking about rabbits, maybe rabbits, but definitely having some pigs every other year or so to fill our freezer. And I just really like goats. I think the goat sound is so cool that I'm just gonna get the goat just so I can hear it doing his thing. But yeah, that's my goal in the next 3 to 5 years, is to be able to be somewhat self-reliable, right? And in addition to that, I want to be working on systems that's going to allow me to continue to do these things as I get older. So I want to be working on systems that's going to make it easier for me to continue to do a little bit of homesteading as I get older. For example, I plan on having a lot of my garden on raised beds, so that when I get older, I don't have to worry about bending so much. You know, things like that. I
Okay.
plan on making small improvements like that as the years go on. But to answer your question, in 3 to 5 years, if I could sustain my family's nutritional needs at a level of 50% from what I can produce on my land, I think that would be a very big success.
That's awesome.
I hope that
I'd
answered
have to
your
have
question.
about 40 pounds a month for my family. And there's only 3 of us.
What's that
We
you go
love
through?
potatoes and sweet potatoes.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely. Yeah, well, I mean, it depends on really how much you go through. I'm a real big rice guy. I love rice, and so I store away a lot. I put away a lot of rice for long-term storage, just so that I know that we can have it there, and we know that we like it. So I am a proponent of, if you like something, put a lot of it away. That way, you know that you'll have it during a time where it may not be available.
Okay, let me get a couple questions here that have come up in the chat from Farmer Brad out of Indiana. I'm going to answer for you. I'm sure he has not done this yet, but his question is: have you made a high tunnel with an earth battery?
No, I haven't done any of that. No.
Okay.
I am going to make a hard-shelled greenhouse with the frame of a tent that I took apart this year. So I am going to do something like that. I'm trying to use the things that I already have, so I don't have to spend so much money on buying new. But I am going to start out with a small greenhouse, and what I'm going to use to make it a hard greenhouse is I'm going to use. I'm not sure. I don't have the terminology for it, but if you've seen those metal tin roofs, well, they sell those panels in see-through plastic as well.
Right.
So they're hard panels that you can put on the roof, and it will allow plenty of sunlight through. So that's why I want to make a hard greenhouse. That way, if we have hail or things like that, it will be protected from it. And what I'm going to use to
Hold on.
make a hard greenhouse is.
Sorry.
Okay. Country Homestead Preacher is asking, what is the best crop you get? And I guess this is something else. You're still kind of working this out.
Well, I think that the best thing to grow up here, personally, I mean, I can't really say for sure because I don't have that much experience. But I think that the best bang for your buck up here are your root fruit, your root vegetables like potatoes, sweet potatoes, carrots, turnips, radishes, things like that. I think those are the things that grow really well up here and that can sustain a little bit of the cold weather that we have up here compared to the lower 48.
Yeah, I watched one channel, Simple Living Alaska, and there's a couple other channels. I can't remember the name of them right now. But when they do their garden beds, they're about 1.5 feet high. And they put all their stuff in there, but because being up there, they have such a small growing season, there's only so many things they can grow up there.
Yeah, I mean, I think that was the green, a big advantage greenhouse. But like I said, what I'm telling you right now are things that I think because I have not done them. I don't want people to think that I'm this big homesteader out here. No, I have not done these things. I'm actually very excited that I get to start doing these things this coming year. This is, this is kind of like one of my life dreams is to be able to do these things. So I'm very excited to be able to start doing these things that I've been wanting to do for so long. But the rat race has kept me from being able to do so. So maybe this time next year we can talk again and we'll see where I'm at then.
Lisa Schroeder is sharing some real good advice here with you. That when you build those raised beds, make sure you have a seat ledge on the outside edge that you can sit down. And we have another caller.
My intent is to build them so that I can work as little as possible.
There you go.
That's my intent. Not because I'm lazy, but
That's
because
the best
I know
way.
that in 20 years,
Oh yeah.
I'm going to need that extra assistance.
When he's our age.
Okay, and we got another caller here, so let him in the room. This is Daryl. Who's calling, please? Hello.
Allie.
Allie.
Hi, Miss Cher. Hi, Miss Cher with the naturally curly hair. How are you?
I'm fine, Miss Boston Allie. How are you?
I'm good. I'm on my phone, so I can't see chat or anything.
Okay.
But am I talking to Alaska Prepper?
You're fine. We'll tell you if anybody talks about you.
Oh, well, yeah. Am I like in chat right now?
You are live.
Yeah.
You're live. Go ahead and start talking.
Hi, Alaska Prepper.
How are you?
Fine. I watch you all the time now. I just want to say I love your channel, and I order a lot of things that you review because I trust you, because you're truthful. For example, I ordered the, I don't know the names of them, and my fiance's sleeping, but I got him that big saw that you got your wife.
The big what?
The saw.
Oh, the silky saw?
Yeah. I got that. It's awesome. I got that, the one that your wife could do, because my
Thing is
fiance,
awesome.
he had 2 heart attacks, so he can't do like heavy duty stuff. And your wife did so awesome with it. I got him that for his birthday.
Yeah, that silky saw is one of the must-have tools for a homesteader or a prepper. Because if your chainsaw goes out or you don't have a way of getting gasoline, that silky saw is so extremely easy to use and very efficient as well. I love my silky saw. I have 2 of them. Yeah, I will never go without them. I'm actually planning on ordering some extra blades for them just in case. I'm really glad that you like them.
Allie.
I tried to recommend things on my channel.
I didn't think of that.
use.
Okay, so you just gave me a great idea because I didn't think of that. Well, first of all, we're city preppers. We're right outside of Boston, so that is our prepping.
She's right outside of
chainsaw
Boston.
and all that.
Outside of Boston.
But I'm thinking I can get him some blades for Christmas. That's a good Christmas gift. I didn't think about that.
Allie.
Yeah, I mean those blades are pretty much made to last forever. However, if you have an accident and you break a blade, it would be nice to have an additional blade to set the back up.
Miss Allie.
Mm-hmm.
You tell people that your fiance was sleeping when we all know you have him locked in the basement.
No, he's in the closet.
He's in the closet today. He's in the closet.
He's in the closet, and he likes it. Oh, well, really? Okay. Okay. So the other thing is really.
Yeah, really.
Okay, so the other. I also got The can opener, the swing away, is
Where?
awesome.
Are you guys there?
Okay.
I can't hear him.
Are you still there?
Yeah,
we're kind of frozen up a little bit, huh?
we lost you for a moment.
Okay. I was gonna say I just watched that movie Misery. Have you seen that movie Misery?
Yes.
No, I'm afraid I don't watch scary things. Why?
Oh, yeah.
No. Oh no. Oh no, 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 no.
Because
no, no.
Because
no. I
JD
don't
is
watch
locked
scary
up.
things.
Because JD is locked up.
No.
Listen to Terry giggle.
I don't watch scary things. Absolutely not.
Well, trust me, that was a scary movie for me.
Now I was wondering, do you? Because I haven't seen all your videos. Usually I binge watch channels if I really get into it, and because of my kids having computers and stuff, I haven't been able to watch a bunch of them like I want. Do you do any canning or like food dehydrating?
Yeah, he does.
I don't do food dehydrating videos, but I do. I have a lot of canning videos, and I also have a playlist that is called Prepper Pantry Cooking, where I do a lot of cooking videos with ingredients that are out of my prepper pantry. I think that everyone that has preps put away should learn how to cook those preps before they have to. Before they need them, they should learn how to cook them.
That's true.
So every once in a while, I'll do a prepper pantry cooking video where I use mainly ingredients from my pantry, and I do have a lot of videos from the past years where I do canning, mainly meats and some vegetables. But I love to can. It's one of the things that I love to do. I love eating canned meats. I do videos every now and then where I take out my oldest jar of meat that I can, and I open it and I cook something with it, and I let you guys look at it and see and tell you how it tastes. Right now, my oldest can of jarred beef is like, I think, 7 years old. So I'm waiting till it's 10 years old so I can take it out and do a video with it.
Okay. Yeah, because the first video I ever saw of yours, you were storing food under your house in the rafters.
Shh! Don't tell anyone.
The floor. That was the first video I saw of yours. You were storing it underneath the floorboards.
Yes, and that's part of my long-term food storage. And I was getting a lot of questions from people. Where do I store when I run out of food? Where do I store food and stuff when I run out of room? And I was coming across that challenge myself. So down under my house where I have my water tanks, I look up and I'm like, you know what? These rafters, there's nothing in between them. Let's fill them up with number 10 cans. So that's just a way of having more stuff put away that's out of your way. Long-term food storage, in my opinion, are foods that you are not going to open until you have to break the glass in case of emergency. What I like to do is I like to live off my pantry, my family to live off our pantry, restock that pantry and rotate everything in there with the things that we normally eat. And then those long-term foods that we put away are foods that I'm only going to open, if I ever have to open them, or if the time is coming close to when they are going to be going beyond their best by date.
Do you know, I think it's called Providential Prepper.
I think I've seen that channel. There's so many channels that I probably don't know.
I think it's Providential Prepper, and they had this giveaway for, this is Allie. So they had this giveaway for the Titan water system, 255-gallon barrel water systems, long-term storage drums.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah, 55-gallon water storage drums. Yeah, I mean, I'm
well,
not sure if
it's from Titan, and it's a drum system, and they stack on each other, and it's a whole big system. Well, guess what? I won it.
Awesome.
I couldn't believe
Awesome,
it. I couldn't believe they pulled my name. I couldn't believe it. So I'm so excited.
That's great.
So is that something that just happened, or?
Yeah, it happened. I just got it like it's Providential Prepper. They pulled a name and they're like Allie Oakley. I mean, I almost fell on the floor. I was like, are you kidding me? And I just got it delivered, so we have to set it up. It's 2 55-gallon drums and the hose system, and it's like this big structure to stack them on each other. And I mean, I'm so blessed. I couldn't believe it. That's something I could never get, you know?
Well, that's great.
It was awesome. The prepper, what I'm trying to say, I guess, is the prepper community is so incredible.
Oh,
I love doing giveaways. That's one of the most fun. That's when I have the most fun on my channels, when we do giveaways.
Right.
Okay, you got anything else?
No, I'm done making Allie blush.
Oh, okay. So, you know, it's been a very interesting evening here. I've certainly enjoyed picking Rudy's brains here on some of the stuff that he's got going on.
Wow, I just at the time, and I see that we've been on for almost an hour and a half already.
Yeah. So I was just gonna say, matter of fact, I pulled down the phone number, but obviously we still have a couple callers on the line. Anybody got any last questions? Please get them in now. And obviously, our mods have been putting up links to Rudy's channel, and
well, I'm more than happy to answer a couple more questions if you have a caller.
Okay. Well,
That's up to you.
Well, we can open that up again because phone lines are still
I'll
connected.
hang up.
Oh, you're
and
fine.
I'll
No,
hang
you're
up.
fine.
Alaska, it is so nice to talk to you. And Miss Cher, you know I love you, girlfriend.
I know
and
you
too,
do.
Daryl.
Allie, and don't worry about it. We can have about 40 or 50 callers on here at the same time.
She probably has to let
I didn't know that.
She has to let
Okay.
JD out of the closet soon,
Oh.
or the basement, wherever she has him.
She's
Oh my God!
He'll be in the attic
so
next week.
funny.
He'll be in the attic next week.
So, Allie,
Allie, you know I love you.
Allie, are you prepping JD for something?
Am I what?
Oh, nothing.
What?
I said, are you prepping
Am
JD?
I what?
Are you prepping JD for something?
Yeah. Well, no, he's all prepped up, honey. He's all prepped up. He's good. He's a man's man, and God bless him. He loves God, and we're good. We are so blessed in this house. I thank God we are so blessed. Life is good. God is good.
Is he talking with your
And
boss?
our YouTube family is the biggest blessing.
Is he talking with your Boston accent yet?
Only when he makes fun of me and I give him a filthy look and he shuts up. Oh, today he said, I'm like, something. I was like going into the other room and he's like, oh, yeah, it's dark. Instead of, like dark. And I'm like, no, he goes, no, he's being fresh. He's like, yeah, it's dark. I'm like, yeah, it is dark. Like, what's your point? But he does a fabulous Boston accent. He really does.
I love hearing Boston accents. I love it.
Well, that's where I'm from, if you can't tell by talking to me, but it is what it is, right?
Daryl, you know that JD's last
All
name.
right. No.
Daryl, you know that JD's last name is Allison, right?
Yes.
So we got Allison.
Yeah,
Allison,
I'm Allison,
Allison.
and his last name's Allison.
Yeah, well, we have another
wow.
access.
Yeah, Allison.
We have another access.
Allison.
Oh,
I mean, you can't take
my
me seriously, right?
I
Allison. Hi, nice to meet you. I'm Allison. They'll be like, really? I'll be like, yeah, really.
You said accent, and I know who's calling in.
Okay, and we have another caller.
Hold on, Terry. He's on the line.
We have another caller. So, Darren, say hello to everybody.
This is fun.
Good night, everyone.
Hey, Darren.
Hello.
Darren.
Now, see, minus
It's like-
15 Fahrenheit, my thermometer doesn't go that low.
Rudy, Darren is our caller from Australia. He doesn't know.
Oh,
He doesn't know cold.
Welcome. You know what? Can
I
I
have
take
blue-
1 second?
blue
I
bean
noticed that Grandma So Happy
Yes.
had a question, and her
Yes.
question was, "What am I going to do about transporting water when I get older?" And I just wanted to answer that real quick because it's a very easy answer, and it's that it's not labor intensive. The system that I have set up for transporting water and bringing it to my house is not labor intensive at all, and it doesn't require a lot of strength. So it's very easy to get water and bring it to my house and put it into my tanks.
Okay, and Darlene, I'm sorry, it's
Powell wants to know if you hunt.
yes. Darlene,
I'm going to start hunting next year. I have a friend who is a very big hunter. He loves to hunt. And next year is the year that I start hunting for the same reason I gave before, that we've been working on our house ever since I got out of the military. So this next year is going to be a year of firsts for me. I have gone dip netting, which is a form of fishing salmon here. And the reason it's called dip netting is because you have a really big net that you stick into the water, and the salmon just go into it, and then you get them out and you process them. I have done that. That's a lot of fun, but a lot of hard work as well. But it could be very fruitful. Some people catch enough fish to pretty much last them a year just by doing that. So that's about the extent of my hunting, is that I've gone fishing. But hopefully next year is going to be a different story. Like I said, next year is going to be a year of first for me, because there's a lot of things that I'm going to do that I wasn't able to do in the past.
Now, with the permafrost and that kind of thing, and you've got bedrock down underneath your land, you wouldn't be able to run a well or anything for the water, would you?
Well, even if I could run a well, I mean, I can run a well. I can. However, the quality of the water is probably not going to be very good. And I really don't have the $40,000 to $50,000 that it costs to drill one. That's about how much it would cost up here, because the water line here is roughly 350 to 400 feet deep.
So 15
Wow.
grand for the land and 50,000 for water.
I'm sorry?
So 15,000 for the land and then 50,000 for water.
Yeah, pretty much.
Now, what caused you to move to Alaska from wherever you were before?
The Army sent me here. This was my last duty station before I retired.
okay, well, I want to turn the
Oh,
clock.
wow.
I want to turn the clock back just a little bit. Where are you originally from?
I was raised in New York. I was
Yes.
born in Dominican
Oh, you're a
Republic.
Yankee!
Yes, New York.
I was born in Dominican Republic, and I immigrated here when I was 3 years old. I came to the United States of America on the 14th of August of 1974.
Awesome.
I'm sorry, on the 4th of
Wow.
August.
On the 4th of August. Well, it's my ex's birthday. What part of New York?
I grew up in Rockland County, which is a suburb outside of the city. Do you know Rockland County at all?
I don't. I was born in Rochester.
Oh my goodness, Rochester is not far away. We used to play their football team.
Okay. Yep.
So you know Stony Point.
Yes.
Stony Point and Rochester are not very far. I grew up in Haverstraw,
Okay.
which
And
is in Rockland County.
one of our folks on here from Sweet Pea from New York, Homestead, Michelle, she's up that way also. So yeah, that's why I said yes, New York.
I mean, it was a pretty decent place to live in when I was growing up. I just wouldn't want to live there anymore.
Does that have
I'm
anything
from
to
New
do with
Jersey,
the?
and I miss.
Does that have
I miss
anything to do
snow.
with the government right now in New York?
No, not really. I mean, maybe it does. But I just
expensive?
don't see any need for me to leave Alaska. I told my wife I'm never leaving Alaska, so if she wants to go on vacation, it'll have to be in Alaska.
Okay.
I
Is it a lot?
I have a very big problem with paying people to pat me down to get on an airplane. So let's put it that way. I told my wife that when the TSA goes away, I'll go anywhere. But I hate the fact that I served our country and came back to a country where I have less rights now than what I had before I went overseas
Understand.
to supposedly
Yeah,
uphold those rights that
that's
we
bad
have.
right now too.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Understand completely.
Lots of people pay good money for that sort of personal contact.
Yeah.
Darren,
Now,
Darren, I
is it a
think,
lot cheaper?
Darren, you're the only one I know that could come up with that.
Hey,
I'm behaving myself right now.
I know.
Oh my gosh, my angel
know.
halos want to go cooking.
We talked about
I
that
don't know the
halo.
meaning of that word.
Rudy, is it cheaper to live in Alaska than what it would be if you were still in New York?
I have no idea. I haven't been back to New York and man, I want to say 25 years, maybe.
Oh, wow. Yeah, you've missed a lot because I'm from New Jersey, and where I live right now, the house and the property I'm on, I couldn't even get a studio apartment from the town I lived at in New Jersey for what I'm paying for rent here.
Oh, no doubt.
Well, you know, believe it or not, here in this area, you can actually survive on making $15 an hour. I mean, you're not going to be living the high life, but you can actually get a small apartment and be able to afford the rent and your utilities and you know all of the things that you need in order to live, working for $15 an hour. So, like I said, you can survive. You know, I'm sure that you would want to do more than just survive in life, but yeah, up here you can actually survive making just $15 an hour. But a lot of jobs pay more than that. So it's not a bad place at all. You know, as far as the jobs go, not a bad place. If you're in the construction field or any kind of specialized field like plumbing, electrical, welding, driving trucks, things like that, you'll make a lot of money up here. And if you're also in the medical field, you'll make a lot of money up here as well.
When I was a teenager, I was living with my mom and my stepdad out in New Mexico, and his last TDY assignment.
Say hi. Look.
His last TDY assignment was Anchorage,
adorable.
Alaska. He was Air Force. And I didn't want to move all the way to Alaska, so I moved back to Jersey from New Mexico with my dad.
Oh, you missed out. Alaska's a great place to live.
Backwards Barbarian is saying
because he went to Virginia.
Backwards Barbarian is saying Alaska is just American Canada.
In America? Oh, no way. He's saying that Alaska is like Canada, but it's part of America?
He's saying that's American Canada.
No, no. Alaska is nothing against our brothers to the south, and in your case, our brothers and sisters to the north, okay? Nothing against them, but one of the reasons that I love living here is that we have so many more freedoms than I think that most other states in the lower 48 and other countries have. For example, when I built my house, I didn't have to have one inspection done at all.
Wow.
I did not have to pay for one permit. I put in my own electrical pole. The electrical pole was inspected, but I was able to do it myself. I didn't have to pay for a permit. I was able to do all of that myself. Here in the province, not province, in the borough where we live, there's only about one police officer for about every 2,000 citizens. So, yeah, Alaska is definitely an awesome place to live. Yeah. If you like freedom, that is. Because with freedom comes sacrifice. Freedom is not easy, really, you know? A lot of people want to be free, but they don't understand that to be free, it's not easy. To actually take care of yourself, it's not an easy thing. So, freedom has its consequences, but I think it's worth it.
Well, I certainly hope that we maintain a pretty free standard. I fear the future.
I mean,
we need to pray for that. We need to pray for that. Without prayer, none of this is going to happen. What's happening to America, we need to pray.
I don't really talk about that too much, but I have stated before that, we have the illusion of freedom here in our country. When you really think about it, everything that you do, you have to ask permission for, from driving a car to mailing a package. You pretty much have to ask permission.
In Massachusetts, Rudy, in Massachusetts, you can't even carry a gun. You have to take a gun class, and then you have to get okayed. You have to get your gun license, and then they have to give you permission to buy the gun. That's against the Constitution.
Well, you have to take a gun class here in Ohio, and then you have to get your permit.
Oh, that's only for concealed.
Concealed carry. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, we can't carry a gun.
It's against the Constitution if you look into it.
Oh,
it is.
Yeah,
it is against the
Constitution. It is. 100% it is.
We definitely agree. But then Darren, who is also on the line here with us, the things down in Australia are tighter yet.
Yep. We don't have a constitution or the amendment, folks. There is no such thing as freedom of speech.
No, you know what? They teach in schools that we live in what is a democracy, which we do, but on paper, we are a republic. And it's a big shame that most people don't know what the difference between a republic and a democracy is. A republic is when the government is there to protect your liberties, to protect your rights. A democracy is when 51% of the people can tell the government what to do to the remaining 49% of the people and make it legally so. So, unfortunately, we live in a democratic government. Whether it says it's a republic on paper or not, we live in what is a democracy. And in my opinion, a democracy is one of the worst forms of government because it allows the 50.1% of the population to dictate how the other 49.9% can live their lives, even if they're not hurting anyone else. In a republic, you can live your life however you want, as long as you follow the natural law, which means treat someone the way that you want to be treated. Don't hurt someone. And if you do hurt someone, then make sure that you make restitutions to that person that you hurt. And that's one of the reasons why we have a judicial system, is so that someone that hurts someone else, willingly or unwillingly, can be made to make restitutions to that person. But our judicial system and our form of governance, as I see it, is more to make laws to entrap us into, the world that we live in today. We are pretty much trapped by the laws that, have been written. They say for us, but in my opinion, it's more against us than anything else. I mean, I think I saw a book a while ago that says that every day the average person commits 3 crimes because they just can't keep up. We cannot keep up with the number of laws that there are on the books. So you can go to jail for anything because you really don't know what is law and what is not law. You see what you guys did? You got me off on a rant.
Yeah, that's that's subject to change every 5 minutes.
Miss Shear,
Yes,
this
dear.
is why I love Alaska Prepper.
Me too.
He is America, and I love him. Yep.
He tells it like it
100%.
is in his videos.
He
correct?
says it like it is. He says what other people think. Say it like it is, baby. Speak truth. Speak truth.
And
that's it.
You know why I went on
Good
the rant
job.
there? The reason I went on the rant there is because I really love freedom. And I like to think that the reason that my parents were both born in Dominican Republic. And back in 1969 that Dominican Republic was having somewhat of a like revolution. So they came here for a better life. And why would I want to come here to have a better life? Why would I want to come here to change the way that our system is if I came from somewhere that was not as good as this country? Why would I want to change the system? I don't. I love freedom. And I'm pretty sure that one of the reasons why my parents came here is because they wanted to be free and they wanted their children to be free and have the opportunities that everyone else has in order to succeed. Not everyone gets the same outcome because not everyone works just as hard, but at least everyone here has the same opportunity, whether you want to say so or not. We really do. It just depends on how hard you want to work.
Well, this whole conversation could really go off into the weeds here. So, I think we better.
Well, I say amen, Alaska Papa. Thank you for that. That was very insightful. It was awesome. God bless you. Thank you so much. That fills my heart with God's joy. Thank you so much for that.
Bless you too.
Okay. Well, let's see. Darren, you got any last words?
No, not really. I mean, Alaska's just a goal for me. I'd end up with blue spots in embarrassing places.
He's behaved tonight.
I love your accent, man. I really love that accent. I can listen to you talk for a while.
See, we're not the only ones, Darren. I'm just going to sit here and drink my water.
Okay, Terry, you got any last thoughts here?
I can't wait to see all the stuff that Livestock Pepper is going to do on his channel. I look forward to seeing all the new things he's going to try and do, and I wish him the best with everything he does. And the little hint here, kind of a big hint. If you don't want any of that snow, send me some this winter in South Carolina. I would love to take a few feet.
Well, the next time it snows, I'll have a shovel ready for you, and then we'll see how you feel about that.
We'll ship it from Ohio, Terry.
Okay, Allie, any last thoughts? Any last
I love all of you. I just love all of you. God bless.
Well, thank you for calling in and participating, Allie.
Allie, I'm so glad you called in. I mean, I'm glad the other
Share.
ones.
Oh my God, share. We should have made this whole conversation about us. I want to talk to you. I love you, Miss you, the naturally curly hair. You know I do.
I know you do.
Okay.
I came up here because, well, no, I love Alaska Pepper too. Oh, one more thing. Yeah, last thought. Alaska Pepper, I got your flashlight, that fabulous flashlight that you told us to get. Do you remember?
Which one? I have like 1,000 of them.
No, in your Amazon store. And I got it, and I'm like, I said to my next door neighbor, I got this like amazing flashlight. I'm going to flash it all over your house tonight, out my bathroom window, so I can see if it works. So it's not the cops coming.
Allie,
don't go there.
Allie, be careful what you're flashing now.
You've got to behave.
What did I say?
Just be careful what you're flashing.
Oh, no, just my flashlight. So I said to my next door neighbor, my friend, I'm like, I'm going to flash the flashlight all over your house tonight when it gets dark, so like we can see if it really works. I'm like, I got it from Alaska Prepper. Like, he said like, this is great, and I trust him. So it looks like police were all over her house. I flashed that thing all over her house in the dark, but I didn't want her to have a heart attack. Like, who's doing that? Like, going in my windows and stuff. It was awesome, and it wasn't even expensive, but I don't know the name of it. But it's on Alaska Prepper's, it's on his Amazon thing. Oh my God. Anything he says, this works. He's speaking truth.
And there we have
that's my story, and that's it.
That's
my last word.
There's our Boston testimonial for Alaskan Prepper.
All right, you know what, Daryl? Really?
Well, I'm reinforcing that.
Oh, all right. Don't make fun of my accent. Don't.
Oh no, absolutely not.
I can imagine now he was just riled up. Oh my goodness, the accent comes out so
It takes nothing to get me riled up.
I bet.
I'm biting my tongue. Terry.
Rudy?
All right, so that's the Massachusetts testimonial. But no, Alaska Prepper, like, I swear I'm not related to him. But anything he puts on his website in his Amazon store that he says he loves, 100% quality. That's all I'm saying. That's like my go-to guy to buy something because I don't know.
There you go.
That was more than a testimonial. She was flashing for him.
Oh my God. All right.
Oh my goodness. And here I was afraid of a little bit of political banter.
Darren on the phone. What did you expect?
Rudy, any last thoughts from you, sir?
No, thank you very much. I had a great time.
I am.
Now he's really wondering what this channel is all about.
He's going. What did I get myself into? All right.
Rudy's like, I got nothing.
So anyway, next week we're going to have Practical Modern Homestead.
Yes,
as our guest.
Angela's in here.
And she's actually in the chat tonight. So yes. Practical Modern Homestead will be our guest next week. Tomorrow night, I'm going to do a thing on our Tuesday Tech on some editing with some native programs in Windows 10. And I think we better just remember this, folks. An orange is a berry, but a strawberry isn't. Everyone have a good evening. Take care. Good night, folks.
God bless you all.
Good night. God bless.